week 5 of the fantasy football season. And here's a few tight ends I would drop this week. The first guy is Robert Tonyan of the Green Bay Packers. So I was very big on Tonyan this season, especially last year. 11 touchdowns and 600 yards for this Packer team. But so far this season, he's been a total bust and a player not contributing. And right now, he's been dropped in 10% of fantasy leagues. But he's going to be dropped more this week, no doubt about it. So the first 4 weeks of the season for Tonyan. Week 1 at the Saints, 2 catches for 8 yards. Week 2 versus the Detroit Lions on Monday Night Football. He had a good ball game. 3 catches, 52 yards and a touchdown. Week 3 at San Francisco, 1 catch, 6 yards. And Week 4 versus the Pittsburgh Steelers, 2 catches, 8 yards. And now Week 5, he's got a matchup at the Cincinnati Bengals that give up the 5th least fantasy points to tight end. So right now, there's no reason to hold on to him. I know he's in a good offense with a great quarterback in Aaron Rodgers, but he's not producing. And there's been many good fantasy options at the tight end position over the last few weeks. So right here, if you could drop a Tonyan for a Dalton Schultz or a Tonyan for even a Max Williams, it's a move you go out there and do this week, in my opinion. The second tight end I will look to drop is Austin Hoover of the Cleveland Browns. Austin Hoover, I pretty much haven't been a fan the whole season. And since he really left the Atlanta Falcons last season, so far this year, he hasn't had double-digit fantasy points at all with Hoover. His best game came in Week 3 versus the Chicago Bears. 2 catches, 19 yards, and a touchdown. And in Week 4 at the Minnesota Vikings, 1 catch, 11 yards on 5 targets. Week 6, he's got a good matchup on paper, but right here, I really can't trust anyone on this Browns offense for fantasy football besides Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt. Odell Beckham's inconsistent. Baker Mayfield, he was the guy I recommended to drop because you don't know what you're going to get from him as well each and every week. And also Jarvis Landry's hurt. So right here, Austin Hoover, he's too much of a headache. He's not showing consistency. He hasn't had double-digit fantasy day at all this season. And in my opinion, he shouldn't be owned in 45% of fantasy leagues. And like I mentioned with Tonyan, there's better options as well than Hoover on the wire. And the third and final tight end I would look to drop this week's Cole Kmet, Chicago Bears. So Cole Kmet, high hopes this season coming into the year for him, with Jimmy Graham taking a back seat and a backup role over there in Chicago. But Cole Kmet, he hasn't done anything, especially the last 3 weeks. Week 1 was a little encouraging for him. 5 catches, 42 yards. Week 2 versus Cincinnati, 1 target, 1 catch for no yards. Week 3 at the Cleveland Browns, 1 catch, 11 yards. And Week 4 versus the Detroit Lions, 1 catch for 6 yards on 3 targets. So right here, this whole Bear offense is a mess. It don't matter who the quarterback is, in my opinion. Justin Fields or Andy Dalton. Allen Robinson hasn't done anything last year. David Montgomery finally had a big game in Week 4 versus the Lions, but he got hurt with a bad knee injury. We don't know how severe it is yet. But right here, no one on this Bear team is really worth owning besides Mooney and Allen Robinson. But those guys aren't even productive each and every week. So right here, just like I mentioned, better options at the wire on tight end than Cole Kmet. So that's a few tight ends I would drop here for Week 5 of the fantasy football season.